Okay, here we go. Oh, she fell again. Okay, now here we go. We are reviewing Storm from Mafex. I really like this figure despite her falling over constantly. It was a little bit of a challenge to stand her up. I found this to be the case with both her and Cyclops, but both Deadpool and Wolverine, they stood up mostly in any kind of position I put them in. So I don't know what it is, but yeah, I found that to be incredibly frustrating. For those of you that like boxes, here you go. It's in the trash now. So when I was doing this review, we were cooking and it smelled in the kitchen like, you just cooked. So I put the ceiling fan on, and the ceiling fan was enough for her to just fall over. So I had to turn it off for her to stop falling over. It shows you how delicate her sense of balance is, I guess. Wolverine and Deadpool had no issues with the ceiling fan. So let's talk about her head sculpt. She's got 3 of them. This one's nice. I think this is the one that's pretty neutral. I do think her neck is a little long. I mean, don't you think? That looks weird, right? It's a little long, and it's in there all the way. I mean, it's one of those things that you really have to look at to see. Once you see, you can't really unsee. But yeah, I think her neck is long, but look at her face. It just looks like she's got makeup on, but it looks really natural. It looks good. I like this head sculpt, but I think I like the third better, which I'll show you. But yeah, it just looks really kind of flawless. Like this, Storm has flawless Halle Berry kind of skin, I think. So this is good, and there's 3 of them, and they're all pretty good. They're all really good, but because they all have that gorgeous hair, it doesn't allow for articulation very much, which I'll get to in a later part of this video. So tell me what you think about the head sculpts. I think they look pretty good. They're a little similar, I think, but no, they're pretty good, I think. So for this part of the video, I'll have to really explain because I actually made a mistake. So when you take the hand off, or when you try to pose her and the hand just comes off, that wristband, it comes off super easily. And when it came off, I didn't put it back the right way. So what you're supposed to do is turn it around. Like the smaller part of the wristband needs to be facing forward. So you can see right there, it's kind of protruding out. So the cape, it's got this little hole right there, and that's supposed to go into the peg for the hand. After you put that into the peg of the hand, you're supposed to put the wristband. It's supposed to look like that, but the way I did it, not really knowing, is the other way. You can tell how it looks different, right? And so if you do it that way, it still works. It just doesn't look right. So once you turn it over, it'll look better, and it'll actually look better in a lot of ways, which you'll see. So Storm comes with a lot of pair of hands. This is the first pair, but I want you to look at her hand, her left hand. The cape looks weird, right? So this is what I'm talking about. When you don't put the wristband on correctly, the cape looks like this. And so if you put it on the correct way, with the fatter part of the wristbands closer to her arms, away from her hands, then it'll look better like the right hand does right there. So she's got a lot of pair of hands, and I'll show you like this because this is easier for me to film. This is the second and third pair of hands. You can see what they do there. They like open hands, punching hands. Every action figure needs to have punching hands. There's enough detail in the hands. I would not say this is overly detailed. If you want some really detailed pair of hands, you gotta look at the Medicom, man. Those hands are detailed from like tip to the wrist. It's just crazy. The 4th, 5th, and 6th pair of hands are here. That middle hand, the 5th hand, that's like a special hand, and I'll show you, because once you flip them over, you can see that it's got these pegs on there, and those are used for the accessory that she comes with, which we'll talk about in just a tiny bit. So now we'll talk about the accessories. So this is the first accessory, which she's got a bunch of lightning just coming out of her hands, right? I like this one the best, but considering she's a little difficult to stand, it puts all this weight in front of her. It makes it even more difficult to stand. So you really have to play with her to make sure that she can stand. And if you're gonna leave her on the shelf, that might be a problem over time. Let's see how it goes. Right now, I'm just putting them on to pose her for photos and for the review. I'm not sure how she'll do over the time, you know? You can count these as almost a 7th pair of hands because you can tell they're hands, but their lightning is attached to the hands. And so you just put them in the peg hole the way you do any hands, and now you have this accessory. They also come with this little protective covers. I've never seen that before. It's kind of cool. I don't know what it's protecting it from, but they're there, you know? So this is the other pair of lightning bolts. So they go into that hand that I showed you earlier with the peg. These are a little bit better, I think, because they're not as heavy. So the figure is not going to get weighed down. I like these. They're kind of cool. They're kind of simple. Although I really like the other ones too because they look badass, right? A bunch of lightning coming out of her. But yeah, these work and they work well. So I think when I end up taking these photos of her, I'm gonna end up using this accessory. Which one do you like the best? So the shoulder pads here can restrict her arms going up further. So this is how high they go. Those shoulder pads also come off. So you have to be really careful. I'll show you later how they go on and off. So they can go inwards about that much. That's pretty good range. And they have this elbow articulation that can give you this much bend. That's also pretty good. It allows for a lot of different poses. So I'm going to show you the swivel that she's got going on. That's pretty good. The wrist swivel, even though it doesn't have the same kind of peg that the Wolverine does, it's still good. This, however, is not good. The only thing she's really capable of is looking downwards because of her hair. So that's all you get. She can do the splits almost, which is better than Wolverine, Deadpool, or a Cyclops. I guess she's more flexible. She can kick that much, and she's got toe articulation like all the other ones too. I think every single Mafex character or figure has toe articulation. So I think if you own one, you'll know what I'm talking about, what it can do. The knee bend is pretty good too. It's not like she can do more. I've seen other figures do better, but this is pretty good. It does have this ugly kind of joint when you swivel, so I guess you have to be careful with the way you pose them so that you don't get these ugly joints, which is another reason why I like Mezco better. But hey, you know, I feel like the Mezcos don't get as much love as the Mafex or Figure Arts, which they should because they look freaking badass, you know. The waist articulation is about that much. That's not humanly possible, but she can do it. Bend backwards, that's okay. Again, the joints, I hate how the gaps show like that, but whatever. The bend forwards, that's actually not that good. The comparison, so this is Wolverine and this is Cyclops. This is how tall she is. I feel like Wolverine should be a little shorter, or at least Storm and Cyclops should be a little taller. And here she is with Deadpool. I added him to it. He's taller than Wolverine, as he should be. He's as tall as Cyclops, I think, so that's pretty good. So when I see this Storm, all I think about is the animated series. I'm not a big comic book reader. I'm not. I used to be, but there's just no time for that. So I feel like sometimes when there's lack of detail or this or that, it'll be said because that's the way it is in the source material. But if it is the comic book should have a little more detail, right? But it still looks great. So the other Cyclops and the Wolverine, you know, they're modeled after X-Force, but they have these quirks to them that are modeled after something, but it's not really easy to know what it's modeled after. This is Cyclops from Marvel Legends. I think that scales really well too. What do you think? I think they'll play really well with each other. This, just a few more details. Like I said earlier, this shoulder pads, they come off. and I didn't know that until it popped off and I had to go look for it. But it goes right there. There's a little peg hole behind, and you stick it in and into her body, and that's where her cape goes to. So you can't really see that hole because of the cape. Just don't take the cape off, or else you might see it, although the hair might cover it. The hair is super detailed. I like it a lot. This figure is really nice. It's the one that I can say, you know what, I would pay the money that they're asking for, because she is nice, even though I had a hard time standing her. Her belt is not like glued on, so you can kind of mess with it. I think it'll allow for articulation, the fact that it's not glued on. But I like it. I like the gold paint. It's nice. It's a nice figure. Still, though, I'll go back to it. I prefer my Mescos, man. I do, because they look so nice. But the Mescos, they don't get as much love. You guys need to give them love. They are nice figures. So after seeing all the detail, all the accessories and head sculpts, you have to decide, is she worth it? She's $105 at Big Bad Toy Store. For me, I bought her, so I would say she is worth it, but just barely. She has enough to make it worth it for me, but I'm so used to other kinds of figures that give you more. What Storm here gives you is really great articulation, which is awesome for photography, because that's what I'm gonna do with her. But dude, $105 is a lot of money, and I'll show you where I actually got her that cost me less. You know, at this point, it's funny because I keep bragging on Entertainment Earth. I keep hearing everybody go to Entertainment Earth, buy them, all these big toy reviewers, and they never have anything, man. They don't have Storm here. And when they do have the figure, it's usually a little bit more than where I always get them. So yeah, don't go to Entertainment Earth looking for her. They don't have her. So where I actually got her was Hobby Link Japan. Like I've said before, though, when you order from them, it's a little tricky because you obviously want to get your toy as soon as possible. But if you order her and then something else that's going to come out in December, you're not going to see Storm until December, maybe January. So it ships when the last one you order in your order has arrived. So how much is 8,448 yen? Let's see. So I paid $63 for her. Tell me that's not better than 105. But I added other figures because I had to make the shipping reasonable. It came out to about almost $8 per figure shipping it to me, and it got to me within a week. So she came out to what, 81, 82 bucks? Tell me how that isn't better than paying 105. That's so much better. Still though, because you're ordering from Japan, it makes it hard to return in case something happens, you see. So you can go to Toys in the Box. At least I can, because I live about 35 minutes away from here. For 90 bucks, I have the security of knowing, hey, I can go return it if something happens, right? Let's say it's broken or missing something, I can return it. I can't really do that with Japan, so it's 90 bucks. You guys that don't live close to Toys in the Box, it'll be $90, sure, but you'll have to pay shipping, which makes it about $100, which makes it just about the same as anywhere else. So it's up to you to decide where to get them. I'm putting a lot of effort into these videos and showing you all the details, showing you the things that I would like to see when I was watching reviews. So I hope you enjoy. Please subscribe. It means a lot to me. Thanks.